Welcome to Tabula Rasa, bitches!
Hello, hello.
Well, hello.
My name is Allie. My pronouns are she, her.
And I'm Nick, and my pronouns are he, him.
And welcome to Season 2, Episode 20 of Tabula Rasa, bitches. We're so glad you're here.
And we're hopeful that we are catching you on Episode 32 of Tabula Rasa, bitches. If you've been here this whole time, yikes, Allie, that is a lot of recording we've done together.
Yes, that is.
I've deviated from our script a lot. In Tabula Rasa, bitches, your two co-hosts discuss and dissect Buffy the Vampire Slayer, a show that bonded them together so many years ago. And in this episode, we will be discussing Season 2, Episode 20, Go Fish, which has aged perfectly and is not
Yep, it really is an evergreen episode. I have almost no notes because it is perfection. Sarcasm. Sarcasm. As usual, we'll do our best to avoid spoilers beyond this point, but today we'll discuss this episode, spoilers and all. Willow continues to fill in as a substitute computer teacher following Miss Calendar's death, but she's having a hard time keeping one student, Gage Petronzi, engaged in class. Principal Snyder pressures Willow to give Gage a better grade. Sunnydale High's swim team, following a sudden increase in their performance, are soon to be champions, and Principal Snyder wants Gage able to compete. Meanwhile, a mysterious demon keeps eating the strongest swimmers one by one, leaving behind only their skins. The gang realizes Gage is likely to be next, so Buffy trails him. Xander decides to go under not a lot of cover on the swim team. Thank you. Where he finds out they are being pumped full of steroids via the steam room by the coach. Buffy learns firsthand the demons aren't eating the swimmers, they hatch out of them. The school nurse confronts the coach and demands he stops this, but the coach pushes the nurse into the sewer and the fish monsters eat her. The coach tries to do the same for Buffy, but Xander comes in with a clutch save and the coach ends up in the sewer instead. The fish monsters feast and then escape into the ocean. I am not allowed to give credit to anyone for this summary because someone's not very proud of their work, even though I think they did a wonderful job.
Oh, well, I'm sure that mysterious unnamed person is grateful for your kind feedback. As you were reading this, I think that there are two main reasons I hate this episode, and one of them was already clear to me, just the rampant, gross coach and masculinity and rape culture and like all the nastiness.
Toxic doesn't begin to cover this masculinity.
1,000%. I think I don't like creature features, like creature stuff. Don't like it as much. Yeah.
You know that, like, by definition, vampires are creatures.
But
they're more humanoid.
I think that you have just dealt such a savage insult to David Boreanaz by somehow comparing him to this sea demon, and I'm gonna tell him that you did that.
No, never. David, I didn't mean it.
No, I'm just trying to gaslight you. And speaking of gaslight, there's a lot of gaslighting that happens in this episode.
God, I don't know if it even counts as gaslight because it's pretty overt. My first note here is ready for some underage hot bods with a little winky face.
True, there are some. Yeah, I had to. Yeah, there's some.
They
nice
were not
scenes.
Underage when we were initially watching this. They
Correct.
Were older than us.
Yeah.
So I feel like, I don't know, somehow that makes it okay to ogle.
Yeah, I'm not going to think about it too much. I'm just going to appreciate the sexy man.
Yeah, because when I'm looking at them, I'm sort of placing myself as a fellow high schooler.
I'm glad that you had this similar. I stopped myself from going down this rabbit hole, but I started to go down this rabbit hole in the Speedo scene that comes up later. I can
justify like a mofo. So
the actors are all adults. I'm just saying.
Also
we
true.
might have to
also
do some
true.
cutting.
All the
Yeah,
actors
this
are
might
almost
be gross.
definitely all over 18.
Yeah.
So, My first quote of the episode, so they start off, they're at your classic to early aughts beach bonfire, something that our high school experience did not involve, but I can see where if you grew up in California, this could be an actual thing. We did not have beach bonfires, but Xander says, "It's officially nippy. So say my nips." I feel that. I feel that, Xand. I do.
Even before this, I have the first trivia of the episode.
Ooh.
So, it before each episode really starts, there's that into each generation, a Slayer is
Uh-huh.
born, she alone. This is the last time. This episode is the last time that prologue is used.
I knew it didn't last forever. I just didn't know when it dropped off.
I would
Interesting.
have thought they would have made it through an entire season, but I guess they figured by the season 2 finale, you knew the
If you
premise
don't
of
know
the
where
show.
we're at by now,
You've
yeah,
missed the train, I'm sorry. Yeah,
yeah, I feel
this
that.
this is a nifty opening little victory party at the beach, and so Xander is cold, and he also isn't super jazzed about the swim team, and I like how Cordelia disagrees here. This is my first Cordelia quote of the episode. She says, "Well, all I know is my cheerleading squad wasted a lot of pep on losers. It's about time our school excelled at something." And I think that there is a accurate note in there that certain sports get a lot of weight and they get a lot of the, like cultural buy-in and stuff. And at
Absolutely.
I have one sport specifically in mind, and at our high school, that sports team sucked. And there
They
were
sucked so
some,
much there's literally not a football team anymore because
oh, it's
it
not there
was,
anymore still.
as far as I know, it hasn't come back, but you're right, it may have come back. But like literally it was such a self-perpetuating cycle because they lost so much, the overall community lost faith in their ability to win, and then people interested in joining a losing team, dwindled to the
Yeah.
fact that to the point where they couldn't get people to sign up to try out for the team, which is
Yeah.
just so sad.
Yikes.
It's so sad. I mean, yes, you don't really need a football team to have a high school, but I don't know. I don't know. There's something so sad about that.
Well, we did have a very excellent
We did well in other sports.
mathathon, and
We did
I
well
think
in
that
other physical activities as well.
and we would I think they could use some cheering. So
Yeah, I
Cordelia,
mean, girls
if you
soccer,
want to cheer for for a winning team, Centennial High School's mathathon, whatever the Brainies do it.
math decathlon. Oh wait, no, that's East High. No, I mean, when we were in high school, lacrosse was really big, but again, that's not a sport that you cheer for. Our women's field hockey did really well. Our golf team did really well. Soccer, both men and women, usually the women more so than the men. Boys, really, let's be honest. Basketball, one year we got all the way to the playoffs, which was very impressive. So we had other things. It was not football. It was not the thing.
Well, I agree with Cordelia here. Okay, keep going
I
on.
do. I do. It is always better to have a winning team regardless of the sport. So Buffy is kind of staring out at the ocean, and one of the guys who we will learn is one of the swim team comes over and starts this deep talk about the ocean and majesty or whatever. And ew, I'm not buying this dude's
Blech.
deep shit for a minute.
Yeah, red flags right
Oh
away. Instant ick.
God.
Instant ick.
So
I
gross.
and a lot of my notes for this episode, I hadn't this is always one of the ones that I gloss over in all of the watch throughs. So I really have not seen this in a long time. And at first, he came over and she was looking pensively and he was being like assertive but respectful and he's a cutie. So I was like, oh, okay. And
Mhm.
then he starts saying really cringy stuff about the ocean. I'm like, okay, I'm over
Yep.
you.
Yep.
You're weird.
Over it. Yep. Liked it for a millisecond. And then I have, hey, that dude. He ends up pretty successful actor. The guy who plays Gage, I won't attempt his last name again. Uh, he is portrayed by the actor Wentworth Miller. Good thing he's a famous actor because Wentworth, wow. I guarantee that's not what he goes by in day to day conversation. But he was the star of Prison Break, the TV show
Yep.
that I never watched, but I remember seeing commercials for it for many years, so I think it did well. I think he did other stuff than that, but that was the thing. Growing up, I knew he was in.
I saw in the trivia too. This was one I didn't watch Prison Break either. I just listened to episode 4 again of our podcast, where you and Jordan make fun of me for not having watched any TV shows ever other than Buffy. And Prison Break is one of them that I didn't watch. But in the trivia, I saw that this was one of those that it was like one of his first breakout roles.
Yeah, there's someone else very famous we see later. So Buffy ends up walking away from Deep Ocean Dude because she sees Jonathan is having his head repeatedly dunked by the swimmers. It's some sort of faux initiation. It's not like he's ever going to really make the team. And then Jonathan bites back at Buffy that he had it handled. And I just wrote, wow, Jonathan, certainly didn't look like you had it handled.
Yeah, we're seeing that same macho man thing that we saw from Xander at one point when Buffy saved him from
Yeah,
being
the
beat up or
black-eyed
something.
heels, cowardice is forever, or whatever that line is.
Yeah. Yeah, come on guys, just let the strong woman save you, okay? There's no shame in it.
Yeah, it's just really, you were gasping for air. So
Yeah, you were being
sorry.
dunked into ice water, yeah.
Excuse me
Yeah.
for living. Uh,
So Dodd and Gage, so the bully and the Gage, they walk away and they're walking on the beach, and suddenly there's this really horrible smell, which is gonna
mhm.
come at this kind of script. We're gonna follow this, and there's a really horrible tearing noise, and you're like, oh, what happened? And then Gage sees that there's just a carcass there of Dodd's body, and then the viewers see some sort of monster walking away into a sewer tunnel.
Yep, I wrote, ew, LOL, skin suit.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
All I have to say about that.
gross.
Pretty
Okay, so our
gross.
next scene, Willow is still teaching. She seems like
Yep.
such a kind teacher.
I really hope Will is getting some money for all this teaching, or at least credit, like some kind of Uber side internship, college credit,
Yeah, we're gonna
something.
demand some sort of compensation here for
Again,
sure.
I doubt it, but yeah, he's asking her to finish. Snyder asked her to finish out the semester or the
Yeah,
school year, and
that
it's
that is
already
a
been at least a couple months that she's been teaching.
that's a substantial time investment. Yeah, and
Yeah.
Willow said yes, and I bet she'll crush it too.
Yep. She says, I wrote this down. Oh, sure, I like teaching. And Snyder says, isn't that nice?
Uh, yes, that asshole Gage isn't participating, and Willow is kind of talking about how, like, oh, that's funny. I just got to my note where I also wrote, quote, I hope she's getting paid with 2 exclamation points. That's funny, Allie, same wavelength.
Great minds, great minds.
Yeah, so Gage is apparently being a real shithead, and Snyder just doesn't care. And Snyder says about Gage, I think we need to cut him some slack. And
Yeah. Hey,
there's,
Nick, what do we think of athletes sliding through classes?
oh my God. This is the most ridiculous. High school swim team. Oh my God. Maybe I am just biased against sports, but this is ridiculous. I never had it easy on me at all when I was in Tech Week for 3 shows at once, but that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm basically just biased against anyone just sliding through. And I try to give a little leeway because not everyone was as academically inclined as I was, because I never had to be like forced to turn in my assignments. That just never seemed like an option that was on the table to just not turn something in. That was always just so odd to me. If like when I knew people who I was just like, you just didn't do your assignment, you just didn't do it. But just literally interfering and telling the teacher basically just like give him a passing grade.
Yeah,
It's just
I like giving any student who is going through something, whether it's sports or life or what have you, we will give other humans grace.
right.
We'll be like flexible, but straight up
Yeah.
lying
like extending a deadline if you knew that they were practicing really hard for, the upcoming finals or something like that. Like extending a deadline or giving a little extra leeway.
Yeah,
But
yep.
he's straight up like what was he
Yeah,
doing in
change his
class?
grade. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not he playing solitaire. That's what he was saying, yeah.
that's what he was. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just with I knew there was some kind of nudity involved. Yeah, with naked chicks on the back of the cards.
Yep.
Um yeah,
And
that's
and I
totally
wanna
different.
I wanna be super clear here about Snyder's words because I wrote them down and it's gonna come up in a hot second. Willow says, "You're asking me to change his grade?" And Snyder says, "I never said any such thing. All I'm suggesting is that you recheck your figures, and I think you'll find a grade more fitting of an athlete like Gage's stature," which is asking her to change his grade. That
Yes.
is
Yes, 100%.
just because you said I never said any such thing, you then said such thing.
Yep. Yep. I rolled my eyes so many times during this episode. They started to hurt. Like, ugh. So much grossness. Just so well.
So then outside, moving on,
Mhm.
Willow is catching up with Xander or Cordelia, and
I love this exchange.
Willow is like, "Yeah, Snyder didn't actually tell me to change Gage's grade. Gage, what a weird name. Gage's grade. And yes, he did. That's
Yep.
exactly what he said to do."
That's exactly what he said. So they're talking about so Cordelia is kind of defending the status of the swim team. And is it Xander? See, either Xander or Willow says, "What about?" Oh, it's Xander who says, "What about that nutty all men are created equal thing?" And she says, "Propaganda spouted by the ugly and less deserving."
She and maybe this is just me being ready to defend Cordelia through anything, but she does point out some
She's not
problematic
wrong.
parts of really yeah, she points out some problematic parts of people held up in American history like Jefferson. There's another interesting trivia bit here. So is like will like they're sparring back and forth. Like somebody's like, "Oh, what about Jefferson?" And Cordelia says, kept slaves. Remember?" And Cordelia's line is dubbed there. And you can see if you're paying attention to it, you can see her what she's saying doesn't match up with her mouth. The script
Oh.
says, like she's talking about Jefferson in the script, the line in the script is kept slaves, got any more? But the dub is kept slaves, remember? And I think that it's because kept slaves, got any more? Like she's asking, like, do you have any more things to push back on? But
Right.
it sounds like she's saying kept slaves, got like, does he still have like
Yeah.
if you go back and watch, you can there's clearly doesn't match up at all.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely didn't pick up on that. But also, fantastic clapback from Cordelia. As always, not only is she right, but she has the receipts. And this, I actually do love this theme. She keeps coming back with like, some people are better than others. Like, status is a thing. Yes, we would all love to live in this like happy utopia where everyone's treated fairly and equal, but that's not the world we live in. Pretty people, popular people get treated better, and that's just the way it is. And she's not wrong,
Ah.
as always. She's not wrong.
So she isn't wrong about yeah. I feel like there is you can acknowledge a reality and then you can defend a reality, and she's definitely defending,
Yeah, yeah, there is that. There is that.
but she's right. And again, she Cordelia is once again proving that she is more bookish than she would let
Yep,
on because she knew what was wrong with these historical figures.
100%. Um, so the next, are we ready to go to the car incident? That's the
Yeah,
next
and
note I
just
have.
before that, Xander's like jealous that Buffy is spending time with Cam is his name.
Again, rolling eyes.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so they're in
and
the
then
car.
I just wrote incoherent screaming. Just, uh,
He's just in the most condescending way, talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. I've been on dates like that where the dude just talks and talks and talk. And just in like friendships too, where it's like,
Sure.
oh my god.
I'm
And
I guarantee people have thought that about me. Like, "I didn't get a word in edgewise," and I'm like, yep, that's probably true."
I'm sure I've done that too, but you wouldn't do it with like a new friend. Certainly not on a first date. You would be on your best or not like first date, but like with
I
somebody
like
you
to
were
think not.
interested in, you would be on your best behavior.
I think so. I guess you can ask Hayden how I was on our first date.
I bet you would be. Anyways, Cam is undoubtedly insufferable, and
Yeah, and
I
also
could relate to what
about
Buffy was going through.
annoying stuff. He's also going on and on about not interesting stuff.
Yeah.
So, and she's also clearly not giving him any kind of encouragement. She's like, if you looked at her face for a millisecond, you would see that she's clearly not loving everything you're saying. And then the whole rapey bit where
Yeah, he
he
gets toxic real fast.
real fast, and you very quickly learn because he said she specifically says like, thank you for like, not pressuring me or whatever. And then in like the next millisecond, he's like trying to get her to do stuff.
Yep.
You're like, what? But that. So very clearly, it was all a game. He was playing the nice guy to get into her pants. And he very deservedly gets his nose broken. And then I have more screaming at everything that happens in the nurse's office.
Oh my god.
Of course, dress more appropriately. And Gage saying, or not Gage, Cam being like, she just freaked out and went totally schizo. Yeah, I remember when that was just like a synonym for crazy.
Yeah.
We would just say
Right.
schizo. Yeah,
Right.
not
Right.
cool. Not cool, people.
Yeah. Yeah. First she leads me on, then she goes schizo on me. Can we start the list of the ways in which that is not only just a lie,
Yeah.
but also just like really rude and
People I'm not sad to see turn into a skin suit.
right. Look at the way she dresses. And then the coach too says something.
They
Yeah,
just
you
all
noted the
pile
line.
on.
Dress more appropriately. Yeah. So this is my first question for Allie of the episode. I think that my future questions are a little happier. What was was this type of double standard so prevalent in our high school? I mean, they're playing it up obviously, but people say shit
Obviously.
like that. Like women get blamed all the fucking time for quote leading people on when they're wearing clothes. Like, was this type of ridiculousness? Did this happen
So
in our high school?
I did not experience any of this firsthand. I know that our dress code of conduct was definitely unfair. No one like getting sent home for spaghetti straps or anything like that. I know I certainly wasn't because my mom wouldn't have let me out of the house. She was very aware of the dress code. Um, so yeah, I can't think of any direct examples from our high school experience. I'm sure it was happening. Same as like I never personally saw anyone, getting a swirly or, getting wedgies or anything like that, but I guarantee there was bullying happening. I just can't share any stories.
Yeah. Well, gross. I hate it.
Yep.
Let's burn that system down.
Oh yeah, this is what I love about um our the I guess Gen Zs and the after us, the Zoomers. They're just, like, so fighting the power, it's amazing. Just all the
Yeah, they take
protests
no shit. Yeah.
against unequal, dress codes and being when they're sent home and all this stuff of, like, well, so you're valuing the boys' education over mine. Oh, it's all awful, it's all disgusting, it makes me not look forward to having children, and yeah, it's oof.
My younger sibling, Scout, texted me one day, probably a couple years ago at this point, and they were like,
How many
"Hi,
years younger is Scout?
have what was your question?"
How many years younger is Scout? What grade are they in now?
Scout
Or are
is
they're in
in
college by now, right?
no, Scout's a senior in high school.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, they both grow up so slowly and so quickly.
Yeah, like at the same time, they are older and younger than I would have thought. Okay, so sorry, I interrupted your
A
story.
scout texted me, I think it was like pre-COVID. I don't remember. Anyways, they were like, "Hi, I think I'm gonna do this climate justice walkout at school. Do you think mom is gonna be mad?" And I was like, first of all, nice. Second of all, no. Third of all, if mom is, I'll talk to her. Do
Yeah,
it.
I
I don't
think
know what.
my parents would
Yeah.
have been down for a walkout. Like
Or
my
no, 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 no. This was the one. It wasn't about climate justice. I found out about the climate justice one later on. This was about gun violence in schools. Yeah, because
ah,
I was like, mother would cheer you on in
there were
walking
a
out for
lot of
that.
walkouts, let's be honest. But good on them for doing it.
Yeah, man.
Gun violence is a good one.
Okay, so Buffy is in the library, kind of venting about the bullshit that just happened,
Yeah,
and the others are not.
what the fuck?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
need
don't get
y'all to
this
validate her.
non-reaction. I don't get
Yeah,
this non-reaction. She is like you said, she's venting about everything that just happened, the way they all reacted, and they're all just staring at her. Now I know that we find out in like just a second that they all know about the monster and the skin suits and whatever. So clearly they have something more important to talk about, but they're all it's very like, "Wow, that's a lot. Tell me how you really feel," kind of stares, which I hate that phrase as a rule. Like, it belittles you for expressing your feelings. We're not about that. Bad
yeah,
energy. But yeah,
yeah,
I was so pissed off at the Scoobies in that moment because she is
yeah. She just
literally
got
talking about
sexually
her sexual
harassed.
harassment and
Yeah.
the non-acknowledgement and again belittlement and chastisement from these other males, and they're all just staring at her.
Expected better from all of them.
Do better. Do so much better.
So they report out that Dodd's body was found at the beach,
Yep.
and Giles is asking. Giles says that Snyder has asked everybody to keep it quiet because he doesn't want attention taken away from the swim team.
Yep. And I don't remember what spurred this, but Buffy says, "Any demons with high cholesterol?"
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
not eating the skin. So she says, "Any demons with high cholesterol?" And then Giles just kind of looks at her and she says, "You're gonna think about that later, Mister, and you're gonna laugh."
And me and you just laughed about it together
We
because
enjoyed it,
that was
Buffy. We have your
comedy
back.
gold.
It was. That was great. And I really do hope he laughed about it later because you gotta laugh about things, Giles. You just do.
So douche canoe Cam is in the steam room. Enjoy your sauna or whatever.
Whatever.
And I get so the coach comes in. There's kind of ominous music and ominous shadow, and the coach is like, "Okay, you're done. Go take a shower."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then so I guess Cam gets together and leaves, and Xander at the same time is headed to the vending machine. I have a note here that Xander has the most awful baggy pants on, and I hate them.
Oh, yeah, the 90s boys fashion was so bad. Everything was so oversized. Now,
I
I mean, we
like,
didn't need the overcorrection of ultra skinny jeans, but it definitely did need to be corrected.
yeah, and thankfully it did, and we see Xander looking a lot better later on in this episode.
100%.
Xander runs into Cam, and Cam is kind of a dick about it. But Xander here, for all the slander I have about this episode,
I
I don't have
love
Xander
this
slander
moment.
here.
I love
Yeah.
it.
You go.
He says, "Man, I love it when you guys mess with her." Same, Zan. Same.
Yeah, and he's genuinely recognizing that Buffy's a badass, and it is great.
Yes. And I do love every time someone tries they fuck around and they absolutely find out.
And they find out. Cam has a really weird flex here. Cam is going to the cafeteria, and Xander's like, "Oh, sorry, it's closed." And Cam kind of gets all proud, and he's like, "Oh, it's not closed to me." And that's it. The cafeteria food is not that good, so go enjoy it, I guess.
True,
Really,
true.
really weird, but all right, whatever.
That's a good point. I definitely didn't think of it that way.
Hey, oh, you're really cool, man. You can
Yeah.
go to the cafeteria.
I
off
mean, I guess
hours.
a privilege is a privilege.
I get, yeah, yeah, you know. And then we kind of follow the same script as before, where there's a horrible smell and a really horrible mangled screaming sound, and Xander turns around and is met with ugly fish demon and Cam's remains.
Yep, yep. So Xander is back with the Scoobies, and he was clearly describing what he saw to Cordelia, who's not a bad artist.
I had that note too. She did a
Yeah,
pretty good job.
she did a good job. I mean, when he's describing everything, he could have just said, "You know the creature from the Black Lagoon? That's what I saw. That's that." I think you could have just pulled up a picture on the internet, but otherwise she does a really good job. But I don't often pull out negative comments on Cordelia, but she has a lot of language, sexist language in this episode.
I'm
Um
glad you noted this. I noted
she
it too.
yeah, she keeps making fun of Xander for quote running like a woman or run
Yep.
like a girl, and she's like, just say it, you ran like a girl. And no, no, no. No, I'm sorry. What would you do, Cordelia, if you saw the creature from the Black Lagoon when you turned around? Think you'd scream.
So
You'd scream and run away.
if we really wanted to break it down too, you ran like a woman. A lot of women run really, really, really fast.
Right. Yeah. Buffy's a woman. I would love to run
And
like Buffy.
they've run long distances with children on their backs. And what does that mean? That's a
Hmm.
stupid insult.
Yep. And she just keeps poking and picking on him. No, 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 no. Not cool.
Good. I
But
agree.
but I don't know. Maybe my little concession is the clearly we've talked about this before that somehow something about the fighting is clearly their thing. Cordelia and
True.
Xander get off on poking at each other, so I
They
don't
love
know.
bickering, yeah.
But if you're gonna bicker and you're gonna poke fun at your boyfriend, don't make it sexist.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
We can
we gotta stay
banter in
funny
other
here.
ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Willow comes in and confirms that Cam and Dodd, the two who had died at this point, were the best swimmers, and they kind of put together that Gage is likely to be next.
Yep.
And
Yep.
Cordelia has a funny line. She says, "God, this is so sad. We're never going to win the state championship."
Pretty classic. So they decide that a likely suspect is Jonathan because he was being heavily bullied by the swim team. And I love this. Willow gets so excited to interrogate him. Uh she's I don't know, she really enjoys it. It's really funny.
Yeah. Yeah, we see this with with a couple of different characters in this episode. Yeah, Willow gets really into interrogating. Good for her. She says, "I'll crack him like an egg."
Yeah, I think maybe in another timeline she ends up working at Quantico or something like that. Like if she didn't go, maybe if she like didn't get close with Miss Calendar and end up looking at spells and stuff like that, like if she had kept down the computer science lane, uh, I could see that. She ends up being
Whatever she did, she'd be
like
the
a
best at
hacker or
it. I
something.
know it.
Oh, 100%. Um,
So, and then Giles says to watch Gage. Giles says Buffy needs to watch Gage.
yes. So Willow goes to interrogate Jonathan, and she does indeed crack him like an egg. And she's like, "So you cast a spell?" What I don't remember what she exactly accuses him of, but accuses him of the whole like monster stuff. And he's totally confused. And Jonathan just goes, "No, I snuck in yesterday and peed in the pool," which is like the more and more I think about it, because normally it's not a big thing, but if you were a swimmer, not just like chilling out with your head out of the pool, just playing in the pool, like if you were a swimmer and someone had peed in the pool. That's really funny.
And it's also just the level of petty and like rule breaking enough. Yeah, it's funny. I
Yeah.
love that this whole scene is being played out too. Willow's interrogating him and she's wearing a shirt that has pastries on it, and it's just so cute.
Yep. That's how she does it. She lulls you into a false sense of security, and then she comes at you.
You at one point made a comparison, Willow and our friend Caitlin, and the more I think about it, the more I think that is pretty spot on.
Oh, had you never, like, made that connection before?
I don't think I had,
I've
no.
always gotten Willow vibes from Caitlyn.
No, it makes total sense though. Yeah.
Yeah, it only continues to make more and more sense. And Caitlin, when you listen to this episode, I do hope you take that as the highest
Ah!
compliment possible. I really hope
One
you appreciate the full extent of that compliment.
because we're obsessed with Willow.
100%.
So Snyder and the coach are talking, and Snyder so does not give a shit about anybody dying. He just wants to win.
Yep. He
And the
says
coach is concerned. Go ahead.
Snyder says, "No two finer boys than Cameron and that other one."
And Xander kind of overhears the coach as the coach is talking about how he doesn't have enough people to keep up with the team. So
Yep.
we'll see what happens there.
Xander sees an opportunity. So now we
Oh,
see Buffy stalking Gage.
mhm. Right before this, he was in some student lounge playing a. My dog just coughed. That was disgusting. Gage is in some lounge playing some way old school Game Boy that I for sure had.
Oh, really? I didn't
Yeah,
have a Game Boy until Game Boy Color.
I had the old school gray one. Yep.
Nice. Subtlety, not Buffy's strong suit.
No,
She does a
no, the
really,
creeping.
really bad job of tailing Gage. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, they're at the bronze too, and yeah, she's not doing so great being subtle.
Yep. Yeah. So then Gage confronts her and then ends up stalking out of the bronze where he runs into Angel. And I just wrote, "Oh no, somebody help him."
Yeah, right before it, the line that he says right before he stalks outside, he says, "Cam told me about your games. Go find someone else to harass." And I wrote, "Okay, fucker, then die. Bye."
Eye roll. Just ugh, eye roll. Yeah, so whatever. Fucking die. I don't care.
So yeah, Gage with Angel is being mad misogynistic, and Angel's totally playing along. And Angel says someone needs to knock her down a few notches, and
Mhm.
Gage says, "Do you have anyone in mind?" Just totally condoning violence.
Yep. Well, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily have to
I guess
knock her down
knock
a
down
peg.
a few notches doesn't mean
Doesn't necessarily
physical.
mean with violence.
You're right.
Angel clearly means with violence, but that's not necessarily what Gage means. But whatever. So Buffy comes out to chase him away and she pulls one of her hair chopsticks out. And I was like, oh, love that. Resourceful. It's a great way to like always have a steak on you. Yeah, those are really big. The hair chopsticks. I
You
definitely had
used
a
to have
pair.
some. I remember that.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. Got them from Claire's. For all I know, I still have them somewhere.
So Angel goes to bite Gage, and Gage evidently doesn't taste good, and Buffy kind of scares him away, and Gage changes his tune about Buffy,
Ugh.
and he says to her, "Walk me home."
No. No. You
You
get
can walk
nothing.
yourself home, buddy.
Yep. Yeah. Can fuck around and find out like everybody else. Yeah, I really, really did not like this total switch flip, whatever.
As soon as she was useful to him, yeah.
And him just like really weirdly simping the next day at tryouts and like literally stopping in the middle of the lane to like pop up and wave at her. Just ugh. Ugh.
Yeah, so they're clearly trying to make us feel differently about him. Like they're clearly trying to make us be like, "Oh, he's not such a bad guy after all."
Nope.
But yeah, this image rehab that happens in a quarter of a scene
Nope.
doesn't fly with me.
No, I personally don't think it's successful if that's what they were trying to do. Or maybe it's trying to show how fickle men are, which, fair. Uh Shakespeare wrote about it quite often. Um but yeah, I
Mhm.
don't feel no sadness, no empathy or whatever for Gage. Absolutely not.
Yep.
But so they're at the pool for tryouts. You good?
Oh yeah, I this is a great scene.
Yeah. So someone mentions something about this the smell of pool or whatever, and I was or the smell of chlorine, or I guess vampires don't love the taste of chlorine, whatever. And I was like, but I actually do really love the smell of an indoor pool. Like I don't know if you remember going to Splashdown, but there was something I really enjoyed about the smell.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
Like it's kind of chlorine, kind of bleach, and maybe it is just like pure nostalgia, but I always liked the smell.
Yeah, do I like it because it genuinely smells good, or do I like it because I'm like a kid again? Hmm.
My guess would be, like,
Hmm.
if you had a candle, I probably wouldn't want it, but I because, when you smell that smell,
It's a little
you're at the
humid too when
pool.
you get it too,
Yeah.
and it's nice and warm and
Yeah.
yeah.
And you can hear that, like, echo of
I don't
kids
think it's weird. I don't
playing.
think we're weird.
No, I don't think it's weird.
Well, so they're debriefing about how Buffy, Willow, and Cordelia are debriefing about how Angel didn't like Gage's blood, and
Mhm,
Buffy. We have some Buffy brilliance here happening. She's like, maybe it's steroids, and
mhm.
she's talking about how it would explain all the behavioral changes and the
Yep.
winning streak, and they can't find anything about a sea demon, and yeah,
Yeah, I'm still really not clear on how the coach made all that happen, but we'll touch back on that later. I love Cordelia's reaction to when Xander comes out. It's so cute.
oh, so lustful, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I and especially for all of the shit that she gives him, I love her getting, like, a little flustered.
Oh yeah.
And then, of course,
Yeah.
once he's seen, he turns right back into Xander and, covers himself up and whatever, but for a moment, he is Mr. Stud Muffin.
Uh, and he's looking good. Come on, Xander. Don't come on.
Yeah.
Go rock it. Rock what the good Lord gave you. Okay.
Yep.
Do it.
Yeah, some of that TV logic, because based on what we know of Xander, there is no way he would have that kind of definition, but, TV
Yeah.
magic.
That's okay. Yeah.
Yay, TV magic.
so Xander has evidently joined the team so that he can keep an eye on Gage and everybody when Buffy can't.
Which is a smart move, and
True.
he is the one who ends up breaking this case.
Oh, and just as Xander is looking really sexy and Cordelia is looking all lustfully at him, he does a really terrible dive, which is funny to me.
Yep.
Um, so afterwards, they're in the steam room, and Xander's making the worst kind of small talk. But that's okay, Xander. I also didn't know how to interact with men my age when I was in high school.
Yeah, I don't know what sauna, steam room etiquette. Have you ever been in a steam room?
No, I
I
don't
don't
think I have
I don't
actually.
like it. I went into one for the first time. The hotel that we stayed at for our wedding had
Oh, I
one
have been in. I
'cause I've
loved
been in a
it.
sauna. I've been in a
Oh,
sauna,
I thought they
not
were
the
the same
same
thing.
thing as a steam room. No.
Oh, interesting. What's it
Yeah.
really? Okay.
So it's something with the heating element and just
Oh.
like the air. So the sauna is like a dry heat, but the steam room, it's just different. So like again, splashdown. If you ever like went to the sauna after you showered off before you went home, uh, yeah, the sauna, lovely, love it. Steam room wasn't my favorite. It was kind of suffocating.
We were just talking about before we started recording resorts, staying at
Mhm.
resorts. The all-inclusive resort I stayed at had this spa experience thing, and you did both a but hearing you say the dry heat and the like steam heat made me they part of their experience was you did both of them,
Mhm.
and I loved them both.
Yeah.
So sign me up, steam room, sauna, whatever. Make it ridiculously hot. I'm cold all the time, so
Yeah, true. Yeah, as I sit kind of freezing in my house with my blanket on my lap, a steam room or sauna both sound really lovely right now.
Buffy's in the halls
Mhm.
waiting for Gage, And Xander comes out and he says, "You got to love this undercover deal. 20 minutes in a hot room with a bunch of sweaty guys." And this theory that we've had before that they were leaving it open that maybe Xander's going to explore his identity a little more. You know? That line delivered differently
Hmm.
could have I they I could have seen it happening.
Hmm. I sort of saw it as him just being confident and like being able to play, being playful about it. I never thought of him exploring identity, sexuality.
I think they like this line was delivered in such a way that he was just making like he was just being fun, but I think that you could deliver that same line in a way that was
Yeah, it was a little more,
starting.
yeah, like you found it a little more titillating rather
Yeah,
than just
yeah.
like humorous. I love what he says. So Buffy's clearly waiting for Gage, and Xander says, "But it's not the." He's putting on his shoes or whatever, getting dressed, and Xander says, "But it's not the Velcro kind. So give him an extra couple of minutes."
He was calling Gage stupid.
Yes, yes, he was, and as you know, see earlier comments about not giving a fuck about him and his feelings. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Buffy ends up once again, saving someone's ass, and I just wrote, "These asshats are fucking lucky to have Buffy. They don't deserve her."
Yeah. Yeah, so we see Gage kind of finishing up and that same script plays out, smells something horrible, and we hear a scream and Buffy starts to save Gage and then it turns out that Gage actually becomes the sea demon and that's
Yep.
when she
He
learns. And
sheds
Buffy
his skin.
1000%, yeah, they don't deserve her.
Yep. Theme song alert. His hand peeling, him watching his
Oh, you're
hand as it
right.
heals. Mhm. Yep, yep, yep.
So Buffy's a little, I think she gets scraped or something, and she gets patched up at the nurses, and Giles is there too. The coach is there, the nurse is there, and Giles kind of presses the coach um, about if he knows or knew that the boys were taking anything. And the coach says, "Maybe I was afraid to,"
Mm.
meaning like
Yeah, 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 yeah,
figure
yeah, yeah.
out if they were taking something.
Right,
But
yeah.
turns out
Kind of, uh,
you're a big fucking liar.
plausible deniability, but yeah, a big fucking liar. Douche on all accounts, just awful in every way, shape, or form. So again, the Scoobies are kind of talking about the elitism of athletes and stuff like that. And I think it's Xander who says, "Sure, the discus throwers got all the best seats at all the crucifixions." It's just really funny.
So Buffy gives the marching orders to Xander to figure out how the guys are getting the drugs, and Buffy is gonna go with Giles with the trank gun to get a
Mhm.
fish demon. I'm not totally clear why why they're tranking the deep. Like, do they think that they can turn it back?
I don't know. That's a great question. I think I think it probably has to do a bit with like the psychology of they know that these were once regular humans. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think if it was just an all out demon, they'd be like, "Yeah, fuck them up." But I think
Mm-hmm.
because they know that it was students, I don't know what they think they could do to put them back in their skin suits. I don't know what time turner magic they think they're gonna do,
Right. Yeah.
but I think maybe it might just be sort of the like, well, we know that they used to be human, so
Yeah, that makes sense. And
'cause it's not like they're werewolves or werefishes where they're gonna turn back into humans.
seeing the trank gun too made me think of our werewolf friends.
Mhm.
Where is and where has Oz been?
Fabulous question. He has been not around nearly enough. That's my answer.
Cool. Yeah, sounds
Yep.
good to me.
Uh, Again, I don't like to second guess Buffy's decisions very often, but she is in white boots for this sewer excursion.
I didn't notice that.
And
That's so funny.
Giles is just in his suit and loafers, and they're splashing through sewers.
Yeah, guys, it's gross in there. Don't do that.
Like, not even an attempt to, like, put plastic bags over your shoes or, some kind of, like, rain boot type situation. No, she's in white boots. Girla.
Girl, I think we found the audiogram clip for this episode.
White
She's in white boots.
Gotta enunciate. Adds to the comedy. So then we're back in the steam room,
Yep.
and in all caps I wrote, "And oh my god, Shane West!"
I know, right?
Ah!
I know I haven't seen many movies, but I have seen A Walk to Remember. Yeah.
I mean, if A Walk to Remember weren't enough, he is also in the I don't know if it even ranks cult classic, because sometimes it really seems like Asha and I are the only people in the world who have seen this movie. But there was this movie, an early 2000s rom-com thing that was called Get Over It, and the high school there's, like, love triangle, la, 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 and the high school puts on A Midsummer Night's Rockin' Eve, and Shane West plays the bad guy, and it is amazing. He was also in
I
A League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which did not do well, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was
wait, who
fun.
was he in A League of Extraordinary Gentlemen? I like that movie.
I think his
He was in it?
Yeah, he's the, like, sharpshooter. I think it's
Oh,
weird because all of them are,
I
like,
haven't
famous
thought of that
characters
movie
like
in
Captain
years.
Nemo and stuff like that, and I think he's Billy the Kid or something like that. He's some, like, Western
Nice.
ace shoot kinda thing.
Yeah,
It's
Steph
fun,
had
it's
a
fun. I'm
crush on
not
him
saying I
as a
can't defend
tyke.
it on all fronts, but it is a fun, enjoyable movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice to see him. And he says, and what is his name? Shane
West.
West is the one who tells Xander that the steroids are in the steam.
It's in the steam, bruh. Also, speaking of, known actors, the nurse was also a lead on 2.5 Men.
Didn't know that either.
Yep.
We're gonna plug that movie that you and Asha like on social media.
We should, because it stars Kirsten Dunst, and I love it. I sang
I
it a
love Kirsten
lot when
Dunst.
I got cast in Midsummer Night's Dream for the first time because I played Hermia, and one of the songs that we see in the movie is called Hermia, and it's wonderful. I freaking love it. You can probably find it for free somewhere.
Chime in, listeners. Let us know if you've seen it.
Yep.
Okay, so the nurse and the coach are in the pool area having a heated discussion, and the nurse talks about how the coach has to stop. She talks about the quote poor children. And so evidently the nurse is in on this. And the coach says, "We got no room for quitters on this team."
Yep.
What so the coach doesn't have a real motivation to be doing this because high school sports don't matter. But he has more motivation. Like, what motivation does the nurse have for participating in this? I don't
guess the
understand. Like, I can
I guess
kind
the
of see
same
it with
as
the coach.
just the overall school spirit.
Got it.
Yeah, I don't think she has any more motive than the coach. It sounds like
Yeah.
it's the same thing, or maybe she initially got into it for the benefit of the kids, like trying to keep them safe. Maybe she thought she could help. Because here's the thing: is
Oh, she could help, like,
when the
yeah.
coach is like monologuing to Buffy about, I think the Russians started this experiment or whatever,
The
and
Soviets.
yeah, the
Yeah,
Soviets.
Soviet Union.
And that's my next note is I'm supposed to believe this guy cracked the gene splicing code or whatever. You'll have to imagine my cocked eyebrow, listeners.
That the international massive government couldn't.
Right.
This
Soviets
high
couldn't crack
school
it, but
coach
this coach could.
did. Yeah, I had that same note. I was afraid I was being too nitpicky, but
No,
you're totally
it
right.
really doesn't track.
Doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, so maybe she was just an accomplice, and like, when she originally started helping, she thought it was mostly going to be just like steroidy type stuff, and she was kind of that, like, if you're going to do it, at least do it under supervision. And then it got out of hand and they started turning into monsters.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That helps me. I could see it. It still doesn't make sense, but
No, it still
it
doesn't make
gives.
sense how the
Yeah.
monsters happened in general, but it kind of justifies how she justified it. I also
Well, and the
wrote,
coach is a big old dick about it and pushes the nurse into the sewer, and the
yep,
sea demons eat her.
yep, and I wrote, this coach has serious Me Too trial energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah.
yeah. Right, what did I no, I don't think I wrote it. Yeah, I definitely had just a big thought of, like, this guy is just raising a team full of future rapists.
Yeah. 1000%.
Yeah. And then when they find the nurse's body, she does not look fed on. She looks stabbed.
Oh, when they see her like floating in the, don't they just see like a hand floating in the,
No, they see her
you,
body. She's back. She's face
oh,
down
you're
in the
right.
water and she's got
Yeah,
like
you're right.
blood spots on her body.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
her clothes don't look ripped.
Yeah. This
Sh
episode, this is a bad episode.
it's a bit of a mess. It's a bit of a it kind of
Yeah.
feels like it was maybe a little bit rushed, like they needed a certain number of episodes in the
They were
season.
like, shit, we need 22. Damn it.
Yeah.
We have 21. Quickly.
Yeah.
Xander needs an episode.
Right.
He hasn't
Yeah.
had one in a while.
Or we need that, like, bring it back to 0 so we can notch up the tension for the finale.
Oh,
Because
true. That's a good point,
they did
too.
this last season too. Because right before we have like all stuff that deals with
Out
the
of sight,
main
out of
story,
mind.
and
Yeah.
then we have out of sight, out
Yeah.
of mind, and then we have the
Yeah.
finale. Uh,
Yeah.
and obviously Buffy's not the first to do that kind of structure. Again, not entirely sure why they do it, but clearly it's a thing. I don't know who
Yeah.
taught that screenwriting class, uh, but they all took it.
Well, I hope that that person gets eaten by fish demons.
Yeah.
Because, anyways,
Yep, yep.
that's insightful, Allie. Thanks for helping me relate to this episode a little differently.
No problem. It's what I'm here for. What I'm especially here for is this speech of Cordelia's. Are we there yet?
When, so we're almost there.
Okay.
But in the pool area, you mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, I think we have a little bit. So
Okay.
they're back in the library. I have a note that Xander's in a pretty hideous button down. And they're like worried about how Xander's worried. He's like, oh shit, I've been taking these steroids. What's going to happen to me? And they're kind of like, okay, like Giles says he's going to work on an antidote. Willow says that she's going to go interrogate the nurse.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another really funny Willow moment. If somebody says, you're really getting into this interrogation thing. And Willow says, the trick is not to leave any marks.
I love it. I do love Willow in this episode. And yeah, that just also Giles finding an antidote. An antidote to what?
Antidote to what? Yeah. Yeah, just find an antidote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, Giles, do you moonlight as a biochemist? Like,
Right.
whatever. Basement, move on.
Did you also figure out something that the Soviet Union couldn't?
Obviously. So yeah, so then Cordelia is waiting for Xander. She's on the bleachers in the pool, and she sees one of the fish demons jump into the pool and start swimming, which weird, I guess. Like they just come out and start running laps, whatever. But she assumes that it's Xander, and she has this really lovely, heartfelt speech about, whatever you need, I can get you bath toys. I understand if you want to see other fish. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god, this whole speech is so wonderful. Like, wow, she really cares about Xander. And like, hun, I don't know if I will ever love anybody that much. Like if
Yeah.
Hayden turned into a big fish monster, we're done. I don't think any kind of marriage vows would bind anybody to that kind of situation. I don't know. How would you feel if Paul turned into a big fish monster?
I will support Paul through most things. And I think I agree with you that if a fish demon emerges from inside of him,
Mhm.
I think that might be the end of our
I
relationship.
think so.
This was one of those Cordelia monologues where I started typing and I wanted to just type everything that she, and I had to
Ugh,
stop eventually. It really is such a
gold.
gold.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's just so wonderful, so lovely. And then Sanders like, who is she talking to? I love it. Yeah, I love this. So next,
Super cute,
yeah,
and they run away, thankfully.
thankfully they make it away. So library.
We skipped over one where Buffy interrogates the coach.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, like, this is when he says that the drugs are from the Soviet Union,
Oh
which
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
really confusing to me. But like, he points a gun at Buffy at one point too, and talks about school spirit and like, yikes, he pushes her into the hole and says something really gross, sexual, assaulty. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah, talking about
yeah. Now we're at the library.
how his boys have other needs too. They've already eaten, but they have other needs. Bleh, bleh.
Yeah, you're
Gross.
fucking disgusting, dude.
Gross. Also, kind of gross on the writers. Like, I know he's the villain and stuff, and like villains are supposed to be gross, but ugh,
We didn't have to take it that
maybe
far.
not. Maybe not.
Like, we get the point that he's gross. Like, we didn't need to implicate demon sexual assault.
Yeah.
Like, we're good. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe a bridge too far. So we're in the library and we see Giles shepherding the swim team into the cage, that ever helpful cage. Um, what exactly do we think Giles said to them?
I had not thought about that. That is a really good question.
Maybe at this point they know about the fish monsters, and so maybe he just like leveled with them about like, if you don't come with me, you're all gonna turn into skin suits. You'll all be left in a pile of skin suits as well. Maybe it was just the truth, but they all walk very compliantly into that
Yeah,
cage.
that is a really good question. And yeah, yeah, really good question. Who knows? I guess he can be kind of convincing when he wants to be.
Yeah, yeah, and I
Um,
mean, there's just the overall authority of a teacher, but still funny.
so our swimmers are very compliant. Good for them. Love it, guys. And Giles and Xander start to be concerned that Buffy isn't back yet,
Yep,
and it's because she is in the
it's a
sewer
fair concern.
being prowled on by the fish demons.
Yep, yep. So luckily, Xander shows up in the nick of time. Nick. Um, so he puts down his arm into the hole for Buffy to grab his hand. Her jump and grab of his arm totally would have dislocated his arm. If you just think about the
I hadn't
force,
even thought about
like that is
that.
a high jump, and we know we know she's got a good jump, but yeah, that would be a lot of. I mean, she's not fat or anything, but like that's still a whole person's weight
Yeah.
onto your hand in a jump, not just like a.
Yeah, total dead weight too.
Yep.
You were just yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good point, Allie.
But I know we have a lot of things that we don't love about this episode. But what I do love is that everyone gets what's coming to them.
Absolutely obsessed with that. The only part about this, yeah, so it's kind of tense with Xander, Buffy, and the coach ends up falling in. And
Oh no.
the thing that I don't love about, like, I get that Buffy she's the superhero, whatever, so she has to, but she tries to save the coach and she loses the grip on him. But I was sitting watching it and I was like, no, let that dude die. Make
She
it more painful.
can't. She really
I know.
can't.
I just wanted him to hurt more. But
I
you're
mean, he
right.
did. He got what was coming to him, and definitely don't think Buffy lost any sleep over it. But yeah, it's just one of those rules. She can't not.
Superhero has to at least try.
It's like in Avengers with Thanos, like he's not wrong that resources would be more abundant if half the population was gone, but you still can't.
Right.
You're not wrong, but still no.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And then my last note of the
As long
episode.
as there aren't any dogs I would be ready to support Thanos 1,000%, as long as his finger snappy left dogs alone.
Mm, mm.
I don't think
I would be
that's,
happy to be
I don't think,
outnumbered by dogs. That's fine.
I don't think that there's like a subsection A paragraph B thing of his
Um,
finger snapping thing though.
I don't know. Supposedly you get whatever you want. So I think if he kind of like when you make a wish, if you wished very specifically, which is the trouble with wishes, you have to be very specific. I don't know. I think he could in his brain go half of all living things except for dogs.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Okay, never mind. I'm Team Thanos then.
There you go. He's got it. I have this awesome jacket from her universe that has his hand and gauntleted hand, and it says "Oh snap."
That's funny.
Yep. I was like, I have to have this. So
I want a picture of it.
yeah, I'll send it to you. So the my last note of this whole episode is big hat tip to the FX team on this one. They had to make several detailed waterproof monster suits because
True.
it's
Yeah, I
not
didn't
like
think
any
about
of
that.
that
You're
was
right.
CGI. Well, except for
Yeah.
maybe the like hand transformation thing, but I really don't think they had the budget. Like all of the swimming monsters at the end of the episode, I'm fairly certain those are just people in
Yeah,
monster
those were
suits.
yeah.
So, yeah, and I
Yeah.
thought the monsters looked really good because we did get a number of up close shots of the monsters.
Yeah, yeah, I thought they did look good too. I don't like the monster episodes, but will recognize that they did look really good. I'm just confused to that. So Giles comes up and they talk about like they call it animal control, but the creatures are gone. And but
What
Buffy
did
just
you think
knows that
animal control was gonna do?
like why and we are still and so at this point they have killed a nurse. They tried to kill Buffy. They viciously mangled the coach. These aren't students, guys. Like we are still stuck on this
Yep,
thing.
they're students and they're never gonna they used to be. They are no those same thing that you say when Xander said or Giles said in like the first episode to Xander, like, that is not your friend in there. That is the demon that killed him. Like those are not students anymore.
And vampires are far more convincing. Like you
Right?
could
Like they can still
way
form words.
right. Yeah, and they have like memories and stuff. These are
Right.
monsters. Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's no going back.
And they're just totally not worried about like there's this air that it's like, oh, they went home, oh, they're free, that's not good.
Yeah, they came out of the water once. Why do we think they're gonna stay there? I had that thought too. Because they're all just like going out into the ocean. And it's like, well, if what the coach says is true, that they also have sexual needs, like they're not gonna stay in the ocean
You should hunt
forever.
them, you should find them, they're gonna kill more people.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Oh god, this episode.
Yeah, maybe the really intense guy from Jaws just, like, comes down and is like, "Oh, yeah, I heard Sunnydale has some exotic game down here."
That'd be a fantastic crossover.
It's a few
that would
few too many
that would make
decades
this
of
episode more
separation,
bearable.
but maybe he had an apprentice.
You know, we keep brainstorming ideas for reboots. That can be a filler episode in the reboot.
Yeah. Or someone very similar or the same asshat, from the werewolf episode who hunts
I was just thinking about that
yeah,
too.
the guy
Yeah,
who
yeah. What
hunts
if you sicked him
werewolves.
on the
Yeah,
yeah,
put him
on
to
the
good
what was
use.
his name? Right.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Well, glad that we both think this episode is garbage.
Yeah, I definitely
But you're
didn't
right.
I
We
definitely
can
didn't
find
come into
redeeming
it
qualities.
yeah, I definitely didn't come
Go ahead.
into it with the same animosity that you have, but and it was never a favorite in particular, but yeah, I definitely left it going, "This is awful, I don't like this, this is not gonna make my list of just about anything."
I just didn't remember it being. I didn't remember hating it this much.
Well,
Maybe I just
we
wasn't.
certainly weren't as woke to the sexual assault stuff, all the gender dynamics.
Yeah.
That's certain I could not have picked that out from this episode. Like, I knew that the coach was bad and, like, prioritizing winning and, like, the good of his boys and all that, but, like, I definitely didn't remember that whole conversation in the nurse's office and, like, yeah, and I mean, she totally led me on and blah, 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 blah. And then she just goes all schizo. Like, ugh. Yeah, there was a lot of this I did not remember. Mostly just when I think of this episode, I mostly just picture Xander in a Speedo. And then I
Right.
think, not that bad of an episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Definitely more
Fun
excited
times.
for our next 2 episodes.
Yeah, these are going to be good ones, Allie. I'm excited for these ones.
Very excited. All right, well, shall we wrap it up?
I think we should. Thanks for sticking with us, listeners.
Yeah, thank you. But this is part of the whole experience, learning new things. We don't have to like everything, you know? Not every episode's going to be a winner.
And we did, when we started out on this fun journey, Allie, part of our goal was to pay attention to our reactions as we rewatched and like kind of document how we felt about it along the way. So
Exactly.
yeah, you're right. This is part of it, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think that about does it for this episode. Thank you so much, gang, for joining us on today's episode. And we hope you'll join us next time when we'll discuss season 2, episode 21, Becoming Part 1.
It's going to be an epic couple of ones we have coming up. If you are just too excited to wait until the next episode to chat, send us an email at tabularasabpod@gmail.com. That is tabularasabpod@gmail.com. And you can also say hello to us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok at tabularasabpod. And before I prompt Allie to hype up her own social media, I will just throw out and ask for y'all amazing listeners to please leave us a rating and a review wherever you listen to your podcast. I know all the podcasts you listen to ask you to do that, but I check them weekly and like it is real. It really, really helps. So we would be super grateful if you would take a few minutes to do that. Allie, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at DaughterPick, DaughterPick, or on TikTok at Future Black Cat. And you can read about my journey as an artist and contribute monies at buymeacoffee.com/Allie-Press. That's ALLIE and press, like press a button. You can also just send me money on Venmo, Allie-Press.
All of those social media handles are going to be in the description. Allie, it's a treasure as always to see your face.
Lovely as always. You always brighten my day. I love you very much.
I do that for a lot of people.
I bet you do. Take care, everyone. Till next time. Bye-bye.
Tabula Rasa, bitches, is hosted by Allie-Press and Nick Mercer, with music by Inflaton Cult, artwork by Charlotte Fleming Design, and consultation by Evo Terra.